Hi guys, I'm Morgan with My Plumber. Wanted to put up a new video. It's been a while. If you guys need a plumbing service, we're located in Southwest Oregon. We cover Josephine, Jackson County, in the south part of Douglas. Anyways, today I wanted to go over with you guys how to troubleshoot a pressure problem. As in, we get a lot of calls from people saying, hey, I don't have enough pressure. What do we need to do to fix it? Basically, this video is going to help you determine what your actual problem is and then give you an idea of what may need to happen to get that fixed. So, normally we get the call, hey, I don't have enough pressure. First, you got to determine, is it pressure or is it volume? A lot of times it appears to be pressure, but it's actually a volume issue. So, if you go to open your faucet, I'm not a very good artist, so you're going to get what you get. There you go. There's a faucet. If it's running fine, great. Okay, you got one faucet that's running well. Number one. Now, what you need to do is go to the second faucet. Okay? Let's make this a I'm getting a phone call. I don't know. Let me pause this for a minute. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so then you go to your second faucet here. Turn it on. And one of two things are going to happen. Either you're going to have full flow, which if that's the case, you pretty much probably don't have a problem. I always open like 3 fixtures, so find a number. That's number 2. Find number 3. That could be a tub spout. There's the shower valve handle. So if you run all 3 and they're working, usually that's no problem. We don't get a call for that. Now, if you open all 3 and what happens all of a sudden is when they run fine with 1 or 2, but if you run 3 and then you get drip drip drip, little trickle, drip drip drip, if you're getting like very minimal flow once you open multiple fixtures, that's a good indication that what you've got is a volume issue. So it's not necessarily pressure. You might have 70-80 pounds of pressure, but you don't have enough water coming down the pipeline from the meter. So usually that's a sign from a couple different things. Either you have a pressure regulator that has been clogged and has debris in it and it's actually restricting the flow, or you have some other sort of valve or device that is restricting the flow because debris got in it and it's not allowing enough water to go through. Because you could have all the pressure in the world, but if you've only got 1 cup every 3 seconds coming through the line, then you're not going to have very good flow, especially when you start opening multiple fixtures. So you got to determine, is it a volume or a pressure issue? Now, say you just you got flow through all the fixtures, but it's not great. It's just kind of coming out almost like you can put your finger over it and stop it. But you could open every fixture in the house. You could open like a hose bib, 3 faucets. It doesn't really change it, but it's just not that great. Well, then you might actually have a pressure issue. So pressure issue equals lackluster force throughout system. Volume issue. Now that would be works okay with 1 fixture, and then doesn't work with multiple. Okay, so and I'm hoping I'm explaining this good enough. If not, drop us a comment. You know, I'll get back with you, or you can give us a call. We can always troubleshoot this ourselves, but it always sometimes people want to know what they're in for. So so then we can check the pressure, and you know, it might be a pressure regulator that can be adjusted. Maybe it's a pressure regulator that can be failed. So and this can be a pressure regulator as well, or it could also be bad piping. So bad piping. It could be an old galvanized water service that's super restricted, and you basically got like the needle head of a pin, and that's all the whole system is being fed with because it's old and corroded. That can lead to like a whole new water service. It could just be a clogged pressure regulator that needs to be replaced. You know, pressure regulator replacements are much better. You know, they can be usually anywhere from $300 to $700. It depends on the location of them. You know, we'd really have to see it. Bad water service, that can be thousands of dollars. Just depends on, you know, does concrete need to be cut or not? You know, there is no one price for that. You know, and so that's usually the two things you get with a pressure issue. A lot of times it's not pressure, it's volume. At the end of the day, doesn't really matter, but it does help diagnose, you know, where the problem's going to be. And typically speaking, if it's just a pressure issue, it's better. If it's a volume issue, then it's usually more likely to be something that's a bigger deal. So the best way to test that, again, I'll run over it real quick, is, you know, open one faucet in the house. If it looks fine, great. If it seems low, open another. Does it drop down more? Does it stay the same? So you can kind of, that gives you that baseline. So if you open the second faucet and it drops to nothing, then you know you've got a volume issue. There's not enough water coming to the house quick enough. If you have a lackluster pressure and you open 3 faucets and it stays the same, then it's more likely to be a pressure issue. Now, the way you would verify that is to get what they, you know, just a little gauge, which usually is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and you hook, it's got you can get them with hose threads. Hook it up to your garden hose area, and you want to be in that 50 to 70 ideally. But if you're all the way down to like 30, like that's acceptable. You can add a booster pump if you got too low to pressure, but they are kind of expensive. So you can get one of those little gauges to hook up to a hose bib. That's a good way to check the actual pressure. And then you can kind of start diagnosing it from there. You know, otherwise you can give us a call, My Plumber, at 541-601-0000, and we're located in Southern Oregon. Otherwise, find a local plumber near you, and try and see if you can get this figured out. Again, we deal with this stuff all the time. A lot of times the old piping can be galvanized and it's just super corroded inside. So that's another good tool for diagnostic. If you know you've got a PVC water service, then it's probably like a pressure regulator or a check valve that's plugged, usually a pressure regulator. If you've got a copper line, usually those don't corrode too bad. So pretty much galvanized. If it's the old metal galvanized pipes, those are the ones that it's like, okay, that's not a good sign. It's an old line, probably pretty restricted. Other than that, you can also, last thing, sorry, keep bouncing back and forth. The last thing is the aerator on the end of the faucet. So I don't have my eraser on me, so let's just go ahead and clear this because you've already seen it. So at the end of your faucet spout, let's call that a faucet spout. There's an aerator, and that's the water comes out of. Sometimes they're actually inline aerators now with the new faucets, which are kind of annoying. And you need a special tool that looks kind of like this. You can get it at the hardware store. And that unscrews it. Same thing. This is the modern. This is the old school. And these can get clogged up with debris. Sometimes if it's just at one fixture, that's all you need to do. And the last thing is you can back flush faucets. So try to clean the aerator first. And the way you know if it's an aerator is if it's on both sides, hot and cold. But if you notice, hey, I've got crappy pressure in my kitchen faucet on the cold side, good pressure on the hot side, well then what you can do is back flush the kitchen faucet. And back flushing it, let's try and do this. Imagine that there is no cabinet. Okay. There's your faucet. There's your hot and cold lines. Shut off valve under the sink. That's hot. That's cold. Okay? These supply lines will go to them. So if it's the cold side, let's say the cold side is slow. When you open the cold side, you got no water. When you open the hot, you got good. Well, that tells you it's not in the aerator. Otherwise, it would be affected on both sides. So what you do is you disconnect the cold supply line, okay? So you disconnect that, put it into a bucket. Make sure you shut off this water first on the cold side. Leave the hot on. This one shut off. And you can do this on either or side. Put the supply line to a bucket, and then if it's a two-handle faucet or a single handle, it doesn't matter. You got to have the hot and cold open. So if it's a single handle, open it in the middle. Hot and cold, open both sides. What that'll do is it'll send water up the hot side, back flush through the faucet, and out the cold side. And it'll send all the debris, whatever's plugging it, into that bucket. Then you reconnect it onto the supply. You got a bucket full of water. And you test it. And that should clear the plugged insides of that faucet. And again, if you ever feel uncomfortable with any of these, we highly recommend calling a plumber. But plumbing's very expensive these days, and a lot of people can get really worked up, frustrated about the cost of the plumbing, which we totally understand. So if you can do anything to try and fix it yourself, great. Otherwise, you're welcome to call us. We do these services as well. But we try to be pretty transparent, and that is hopefully going to help you guys out. If you enjoyed this video, please follow My Plumber's page. We try to put out helpful tips and hints about things to do in Oregon, plumbing tips, stuff you can do in the outdoors, cool places to go camping. We try to service as many jobs as we can with the limited amount of technicians we have. But yeah, we're trying to do the best we can with what we got, and we appreciate your guys' help. Please don't forget to follow. Thank you.